G'day, mate, and welcome back to Captain Industry with me, Jenny. In our previous episode, we managed to get the rocket assembly build, rocket assembly depot, and rocket silo built, which means in today's episode, obviously we're going to have a rocket erection. We're going to erect a rocket. Yes. So we have the two required buildings. It's just a matter of building a rocket and moving it from A to B, and setting off to space and game done. But before we get into that, there's a couple of things I need to ask. One, I'd like to not borrow it this time. I'd like it outright, because we're going to have some rocket erections. I mean, we're going to erect a rocket. That's right. Yes, today we're going to erect a rocket. On top of that, I, as always, need to not ask you to subscribe because I don't need to do that anymore. We've done that for the last 68 episodes. Pretty sure it's sunk in by now. Also, I've completed my YouTube contract and I've asked 68 times in a row. So we're good there. But I do need to thank the wonderful YouTube members that are keeping the channel ad-free. It means I don't have to run any mid-rolls during, these Let's Plays, because nobody enjoys a mid-roll. So I'm going to be thanking the wonderful, I can definitely pronounce that, right? I love it when people pick names I can definitely pronounce. I've already taken the liberty of running this through Google Translate, because I thought that was going to be a requirement, and turns out it translates as Smiley. So, thank you, Smiley. I hope that's translated correctly, for being a YouTube member and choosing to support the channel. At the same time, in honor of Smiley, I'm going to ask you an extra favor. Can you just head down the comments section and just put in your favorite emote? Could be absolutely anything. Could be just copy the emote from the person above you. Could just put a rocket down in the comments section, just because, today we're erecting a rocket. Yes, not a rocket erection, we're erecting a rocket. Entirely different. Yes, in honor of Smiley. Yes. So please, by all means, put something down in the comments. If you decide to add a comment after the fact, just go edit your comment or just put in a second one. It all helps the YouTube algorithm. Now, before we get into actually going through the rocket silo, there's a couple of things I want to look at first. First off is what's changed on the map. So we're going to go and talk about the most important system in the game, the Great Poop Processor. Yep, the Great Poop Processor I've been monitoring, I've been checking, I've been keeping an eye on, and it's doing great, which is exactly what I thought. I was 100% confident. One thing you may notice is the tank never fills up, and this keeps bouncing like this. Now, in saying that, I do have full Unity, and I do have full health from water, so there's actually nothing wrong with it. It's just weird, but we do need 840 water per minute, which is interesting because our pipes move 450, and I have 2 pipe connections, which means in theory I can do 900. And oh my god, if we go over 900, it means even though my Great Poop Processor can process a lot of poop, I would need to have a second water treatment plant to plug in more clean water, which technically would split the polluted water out of both of them, which I'd then have to merge back together, back into poop processing systems. It's an interesting problem that I thankfully don't have to solve because we are not having any more people. I have been going around between episodes and optimize a little bit, and we have enough workforce to run the 2 new machines. My other option is I could come in here and under the industrial edicts, I could put in the water saver and save myself 20% of my water input. Also cut back the wastewater by 20%. It means I'd save, what's that? 170 water out of the total settlement water need, which would fix the problem. Also, I could probably cut back on a whole poop processor at the cost of 1 Unity per month. I could take that up to 30% and even 35% to save myself even more poop processing. So that is an option. Other changes around the map. Let's go to limestone first. Limestone, I have started filling in the hole. Unfortunately, I didn't pay attention and forgot that we dug our way in on limestone, so I technically need to come back here and dig our way out. It didn't happen, so if I ever come back and dig that up, I need to fix that. On top of that, I completely forgot, because we didn't get access to it till very, very late in the game, just because of where it's located on the map. But technically, I have oil here, at the back of the map, and there is another 50,000 barrels of crude oil that I could have and should have tapped. I could have just put it into a tank and have the trucks drive the oil across, because at the end of the day, there's not that much oil there. It would have taken them a while with just, 1 or 2 pump jacks. Pump jacks, they're not called. They're oil pumps. Oil pumps, sorry. I'm getting my game genre naming conventions confused. But we could have done that. I could have done that. I should have done that. I completely forgot that there happened to be oil here. Other things that have changed is we've been clearing out the limestone, plus also clearing out the copper. Also, I'm trying to dig through all the iron. In saying that, the iron is at level minus 41 and continues for quite some distance. Also trying to clear our way through the gold mountain. Yeah, because one of my objectives for this map was to level out the island. Yeah, it is possible. My other objective was to make sure there were no resources left in the ground. This is why we put in such great effort to the coal that was here, digging it all out. Also, the sand that went right the way out to sea, we went and landfilled it all in to then dig it all back up to get out all the sand. So I don't have any stupid markers sitting around on the map. Turns out after touring Joe's map, which it'll be out in a couple of days. Trust me. That's mean I've officially been defeated. That is not going to happen. We are building a little copper mound right here because, well, I want to keep the diggers busy and digging. Also, we did manage to bury the trees as close to hell as I could get them because that's where trees belong. We got down to minus 40 in my little hole, but I couldn't actually get any deeper because, well, there was a risk I'd have a cave in from my retaining walls, and I really didn't want to lose solar panels as they're really expensive. I don't make them anymore, so replacing them would be very difficult. But we did get down to minus 40. I think if I ever do this again, I think I'm going to either build them up as high as I can or dig them down as low as I can, but we're just going to start with much more clear space when we decide to, bury the trees. Yep. Other things that have happened is I found an interesting issue. It has to do with the recycling centers. As we can see, I have 4 of them, and they are processing flat out. Like, they're being fed by their own independent buckets. They're sharing a large bucket each. They have a 200 speed belt coming in. They eat 144 per month. And they're doing a good job of eating all the recyclables. On top of that, they have a buffer container, which, merges the ones from maintenance along with the second one from the village center, the town center, the people. And there's one problem with it. And if we go in here and we search up recyclables, my production is 70,000. My consumption in the last 12 months last year is 6,864. They're running flat out, and I can't quite process all the recyclables, which is an interesting problem to have with already 4 of them. Yeah, and I don't actually have a solution for this one. Like, I really, really don't. I could put down another recycling plant, but we're only short by like 120 per year, which means I could run one recycling plant for 1 month, and that would catch us up. The other 11 months would be short. So it's an interesting problem that I honestly don't have a solution for. I also still have no idea why this pops up and down every 6 months. Or maybe it's flu. Hang on, do we have health? Health. Air pollution? No. Water, healthcare. That bar's all the way up there. Eating space, food, negative healthcare. No. What's the red line? The red line is, I don't know. It's total. Let's turn off some of these things and we can try and work this out. Because if you're using healthcare, extra, so people get sick. Supposedly I make water pollution every now and then. Air pollution? No, it's very, 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 very recyclables. Okay, it's here at 12 months, here at, what's that, 48 months. Health. 12 months, 48 months. What's this one? Disease. Oh, that explains it. So that bumps from disease. As they get sick, they produce extra recyclables every so many cycles. Well, there you go. We all learned something together. I'm always learning stuff in this game. Look, I just toured Cyper's OCD hoarding base, and I learned a couple of things doing that one. And as I said, we've got Joe's base coming up real soon, and I learnt some stuff doing that one as well. But as for my recycle problem, it just means that eventually this bucket would fill up, eventually my belts would fill up, and eventually the recycling center at the town would just have a tick where it couldn't output because it would be full, and occasionally These guys would have to swap to their other recipe because they just wouldn't be able to output because the belt would be full. It'd be very, very rare, but it would actually happen, and it's just an interesting problem I found. All right, that's pretty much the only changes. Well, yeah, we're making a copper mound. We're making a gold mound because, well, I still want to try and clear out the island. I did have 3 goals in mind for this particular playthrough. Let's just unpause you and unpause you. I did have 3 goals, and one of them was launching a rocket. So let's talk about this really quickly. So I need a rocket launcher pad, which requires 30 people. Good, got 30 people. Also requires fuel in the rocket, and also requires water, which we can get some water. That shouldn't be too hard. Fuel, it doesn't tell me what type of fuel it is, because I'm willing to bet the devs have left it open, so in the future you can have multiple rocket launch pads with different fuel types for different rockets, because the first rocket, and this is all that's available in early access now, is the testing rocket. Now, the testing rocket is a rocket that demonstrates the capability of reaching space. It uses hydrogen as fuel, which should be fairly easy to build. Actually, it requires steel, gold, and electronics 3, which seems not too bad. Also, oh my god, I have a bit of gold. All right, so let's do the easy things first. Storage. Can I get a storage container 2? We're going to whack you in there, and then I'm going to connect a pipe. Well, we can use a skinny pipe, I guess. And we're going to set you to hydrogen. I'm also going to set you to keep full. And I'm going to put a fairly large priority on this because I can. You know what? I don't like the idea of a skinny pipe. Have a big pipe. I have already taken the liberty of, in the, well, the oil refineries, we have the bottom one, which does a little bit of everything. We have the middle one, which does nothing but diesel. And then we have the top one that does basically a shit ton of hydrogen. I've already taken a split off the hydrogen pipe and whacked it straight into a tank so the trucks can access it. So hopefully they can... Ooh, I've lost the rocket solid. Bring it over here and fill up this tank. Priority 3, it should happen in a hurry. As for our rocket itself, we need to build one of these. It's going to cost us some steel, some gold, and some microchips, which shouldn't be too hard. Actually, we're going to quick deliver that. Yeah, it's only 6 units. It's cheap. Now, my original goals for this map, one was to level out the island at level 2. Well, we did most of that, apart from, well, the giant gold mountain in the way, the copper that we're still digging out, the hole that I'm never going to remove, but we did do a reasonably good job. I also did fill in, like, most of the island. The island is, actually, can I do this? I don't know if I have enough markers to overlay the original map on top. I probably also don't have any frames yet. I'll see if Editor JD can put in the shape of the original map lined up with this, and we'll see. I've definitely doubled the size of the map since we started. On top of that, the second goal for the map was I wanted to go to 100% sustainability. I wanted to move across to contracts, had to do everything with contracts, and I got reasonably somewhat close. We're already bringing in oil, we're already bringing in coal, and I'm already bringing in quartz. So I'm bringing in 3 of the items that I need. I'm not bringing in copper, I'm not bringing in iron, and I'm not bringing in limestone yet. In saying that, I would have to stop bringing in uranium and I have to go to 100% solar, which I could do. It would take a little while, but it can be done, which would free up a crap ton of food packs, which the only thing I can trade food packs for is oil. So I'd then get a crap ton more oil coming in. My copper I can handle with medical supplies. That's not an issue. It's already overbuilt, more than enough to handle the copper needs. With the crude oil, I could exchange the diesel for limestone, also diesel for gold, and that should get it to 100% sustainable. I would have to rearrange a lot of things. I'd have to do a lot of things, and I'm sort of worried, considering our population currently, that maybe that's not the best idea. Can we fill this, please? 72. Oh, you're coming across now. If I had more performance at this point, I would probably consider doing it. I know the devs are hard at work doing all sorts of updates currently, so, you know, maybe we'll continue the series. Probably not, honestly. I'm sort of a little bit fed up with the low frame rates, and I wouldn't mind maybe doing a new map, maybe doing a speed run. There's definitely lots of different options. The third goal for the map was, well, I wanted to remove all the resources in the ground. That didn't happen. That didn't happen in the slightest. And again, Joe's map, which we'll be touring in very shortly, it'll explain why. The gold goes fairly deep, but our rocket's half built and our hydrogen tank's ready to go. Oh, we need water. Where am I going to get water from? Our final goal of erecting the rocket was going so well. We had loaded the hydrogen fuel and we were in the process of connecting the water for the sound suppression, where out of nowhere a rogue pirate who had heard of our past victories and growing trade empire appeared on the horizon. Our ship, manned with just a skeleton crew, was no match and was heavily damaged in the port. What was worse, our fully laden hydrogen tank was caught by a stray shell and the devastation was immediate. Both the rocket assembly depot and the launch silo instantly exploded and the island was set back years. We had no choice but to accept that this new pirate would be stopping us from launching our nuclear waste in space and the island would eventually become a radioactive disaster zone. Or maybe the captain has a better idea. With the devastation caused by not only the loss of the rocket silo, but also of the rocket assembly, we had no choice. We had no choice but to rebuild. We also need to rebuild in secret, out of sight, away from prying pirate eyes. The problem is, on an island that's mostly flat, where do you build? We continued with the status quo, we continued mining, we continued dumping, we continued building our giant piles of ore. We looked, we searched, we considered trying to launch under the water, trying to drain out the sea. Just empty this area out, and we'd have plenty of room to put in a rocket assembly. We could put it where the trees are. We could finally burn them with rocket exhaust, but there's not enough room. It's not nearly enough room. We examined the limestone, but it was a little bit too far from everywhere on the map. So we came to a conclusion. There was only one conclusion, and that was that if we find our electronics belt, and we find where it breaks off, good question, right here, and we follow that, we may notice that at the far end of the belt, we found a spot away from prying eyes where we can continue to launch rockets, free from the pirates, free from any damage they could cause with their cannons, and more importantly, we could launch more than just one. In fact, well, I'm pretty sure we could keep all four of these running at the same time. And after the amount of base tours I've done, I'm pretty sure that this will give us around about 4 Unity per year. I don't know what I'm going to do with 4 Unity per year, apart from probably more instant building, but well, it's always good to have some extra Unity. And as promised, episode 69, with our rocket erection. Now what we're going to do is launch the sucker. Meanwhile, second one's 80%, third one's 56, it's a little bit behind, and the one after that's also a little bit behind. We have already, hopefully, we've definitely got water down here. We also have hydrogen. Yes, we have another hydrogen tank. This one's a little bit more protected, being thoroughly underground. Also, it's raining at the moment, which probably helps. And that is our very first rocket. Our very first rocket in the year 1487. We are finally ready to complete the game. It only took a little while. 69 episodes.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, liftoff.
And with the rocket launching, that brings us to the end of this series. And it's been a great series. I've actually had a lot of fun. It's one of the few games that has come out and managed to steal 1,000 hours worth of my time within the first 3 months. Not many games can make that claim. At the same time, I really want to thank the devs. I want to thank both Marek and Philip. I've had a great working relationship with them ever since the game first popped into pre-alpha, Kickstarter stage. So right since then, they've been great to work with, been very, very open and happy to answer any questions I may have. Also, at the same time, I want to thank them for putting my name in the credits. Yeah, my name's in the credits. It's, my name's in the credits of lots of different games, but normally as a Kickstarter backer, which I backed this one as well. Yep, my name's in the credits somewhere. Good luck finding it. This time they've actually, as a content creator, which is a first. So again, thank you guys. Thank you to the devs. They've been absolutely wonderful. And I'm looking forward to what comes next, which means Captive Industry is not dead. Definitely not dead on this channel. In fact, I've got a video coming out in a couple of days with another island tour. Plus there's a tutorial video I want to release still, or 2 or 3. I also really want to put together a quick start guide, for when you want to speed run the game, or just when you want to, you're on restart number 3 or 4 and you sort of want to get through it as quickly as possible. Yeah, it's been on my list of things to do for a while and I haven't quite got there. At the same time, I want to thank you guys. I want to thank every single one of you that's watched these videos. Click the like button, click the subscribe button. I want to give a big shout out and a big thank you to the YouTube members as well, because, well, they've made such a difference. They really, really have made a difference this year. It's been wonderful to have the support of you guys. It's also been great to be able to say g'day mate to you every single day. That's been wonderful. Now, before we're actually done with the game, I want to go over some of my thoughts, because I have some thoughts I'd like to share. First off, we're going to find just a truck. Let's find, hey, we got a Shack Cat. Shack Cat will do. We're going to click that button. We'll have Shack Cat take us around the map. Now, a couple of things I want to say with Captain Mystery. I've had a blast, but there are definitely some things that could do with some tweaks. One of the big ones, at least for me, as I worked my way through the game, was I found electricity usage was fairly high. Like, very, very high. And then I actually asked Philip to run a probe well. I asked Philip if he could tell me how much power my belts were using. And he did exactly that in episode 65. And of the 40, 45, 50, 60, I don't know. I actually don't have the numbers in front of me. But I do know my belts were the second most largest power consumer in my map. Arc furnaces were the only things that beat them. My belts were using more power than all the desalinators I had on the map. Let's put things that way. And I've used a lot of desalinators in case you can't remember. There's been a lot of them. So, yeah, that was one thing I'd really like to see changed. I also want to see more of the tech tree. Originally, in Alpha, it was all coming soon, to be added, all that sort of stuff. But launching a rocket was far from the end of the game. There was a whole build a space station, build starships, build wormholes. You were going to go a lot further than just building a rocket. I hope that content stays in the game in some way, shape, or form. I have no idea how it's going to interface with trucks driving around an island, but I'm excited to see. And I have a lot of confidence with these devs that they'll be able to push it through, or make it do, or push it out, or something along those lines. I'm curious to see what's coming. Speaking of that, the devs have actually been very quiet for a number of weeks now, working on something big. Don't know what it is, but I do know it's been big. Also want to apologize for this video taking a little bit longer than what I wanted to get out. I had some technical difficulties. If you go and check my Twitter and that sort of stuff, you'll see that I had some excavators driving up walls. They're not meant to drive up walls. Yeah. It's not normal. So, it delayed the video by a couple of days. Turns out it was some sort of internal bug that, with enough saves and loads and that sort of stuff, worked itself out, which is good, because I was not going to go back and replay the whole series. At the same time, other things I'd like to see in the game is I'd like to see a little bit more use of the recycling depot. I'd also really, really like to see some more contracts. I know the devs did some work on both the cargo ships and the contracts already in this series, but if I just find my notes, I have some notes. Okay, one of the things I want to do is I want to become 100% sustainable, and I got close. I really, really did. If I look at my contracts, I changed that to 8 modules. I've got coal, I've got oil, and I've got quartz. I didn't get around to doing copper or iron or limestone or gold. So I've got about halfway there. Not quite halfway there, but halfway there. I already overbuilt my medical supplies to do the copper ore. And this is, 720 medical supplies that give me 2,160 copper. If I look at copper really quickly, if I could spell... consumption last year was 1,000. So... for me to get enough copper, I would need to have, I've got it written down. I'd need about 1,200 copper, which per year, which is a little bit more than what I'm using currently, but I need to account for some extra to cover some of the other contracts, which is about 400 medical items per year, which is about 33 per month, which is, one machine. It's less than one machine. Less than one machine making medical supplies too. 3. So I should be able to do that without too much of a problem. Iron, I would have to do probably for vehicle parts. and which is not a great recipe. And yeah, for 2,000, let's go back in here. For iron per year, my consumption is about 2,000. So I would have to do this particular contract, and I'd have to ship off 400 vehicle parts. For 400 vehicle parts, I've got the maths wrong. Yes, for 400 vehicle parts, it would cost me 600 iron all up. So I think I got the maths wrong. Somewhere. I end up with 25 parts per month, so that's 2 machines. That part I know is correct. You do have a loss. That was 150, and that was... I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember the maths because I didn't put all the working out. I just put notes on in my note file, which doesn't help us right now. I'm pretty sure I could do the vehicle parts for iron ore. In fact, I'm very, very confident I could do the vehicle parts for iron ore because at the moment I'm doing vehicle parts for crude, and we're going through the 3,000 crude 3 times a year. 3 times a year easily. And I would have to drop this particular contract because I'd have a whole bunch of food packs that I wouldn't be using anymore. And the only thing I can trade food packs for is crude oil. So I'd be moving all my food packs over to crude oil, which frees up these vehicle parts. Also means that I can then start exchanging vehicle parts for iron ore. The other thing would be limestone. Again, because I have a lot of food packs. I have a lot of food packs currently. I'd be exchanging them for oil, which is going to give me a lot of diesel. So I'd be doing diesel for limestone and also diesel for gold. And if I ran short on either of those, I could do coal for limestone or coal for gold ore. Both would be a viable option to supplement whatever I was short by. So yes, I could go across to 100% sustainable, I reckon, fairly easily. My catches would be... is I'd need a lot more solar panels. Like, a lot more solar panels, because I am still technically running 15, 30, 45, 60, 75 megawatts worth of nuclear power. I don't think I need that. In fact, I'm pretty sure I don't need that. And I could retire each one of these bit by bit by bit and replace them with solar. Also replace them with battery systems, same as we did over here. The catch is, as I replace them, I would also need to make sure that all the water they're producing that goes off to the farms was supplemented. So that would have to be something I'd have to consider, and I have no idea where that truck went. I'm going to follow Daniel now instead. So that would be another thing I'd have to consider and tweak and work my way through. And from looking at the many sustainable bases that I've looked at, and also chatting to, well, each one of those island designers, getting sustainability is a lot of trial and error. Leave it for a couple of hours, come back, see what broke, maybe go back and load a save because something went terribly wrong, so on and so forth. It's very time consuming, and it's more time consuming as in time taken rather than time taken in-game time. And as the game is incredibly slow for me currently, like I'm doing 20 odd FPS at single time speed. Yeah, there's very little point to me trying to speed up the game or anything like that. And trying to like spend a couple of hours to become sustainable. I just don't think it's worth it. By the same token, we are launching a lot of rockets, and rocket launch is 6. I have a flat 6 Unity bonus every single month. Also, it turns out water finally tipped over and I don't have quite enough water. Still have 10 out of 10 for health, but not quite enough water. We've lost a 0.06 for uni, but then I did have to add 2 sets of houses. Yeah, that's what pushed us over the edge. We are very, very much on a fine line here. Honestly, I really am. I know I really am. Another thing I'd have to do is I'd have to look at sand. I don't actually have on the world map. It's over here. I haven't actually set up the rock mine at all because I've still been mining rock. I would have to go upgrade that thoroughly. Also hook up this ship. We're currently using, if I bring this back up, sand. I'm currently using about 2,000 per year, so about 100 per month. A little bit less than 100 per month, which means that we're probably okay. This rocket mine does 288 at maximum speed, and I obviously don't have to run it at maximum speed, but I am going to have to spend some of my uni on that, and the only uni I have to play with is really the uranium mine at 1.5. I don't have a lot of spare uni. Well, I don't have a lot of uni that I'm already spending that I can unspend on something to then spend on sand. Well, rock to make sand. So that's a cash point too as well. The other thing would be maintenance. Maintenance, I'm actually... Again, I've really got to sort of the end. Let's go with maintenance 3 first. Maintenance 3, I can produce up to 960, and I'm using 833. As we add in the different buildings I need to run the different contracts, I'd need a couple more of the assembly robots. Maybe not tier 3, maybe just maybe not the tier 2, maybe just the tier 1. But either way, they're going to need teraflops, and data centers need tier 3 maintenance, which means I'd probably have to put in another maintenance depot 3, which I could possibly do if I have the electronics. If I have the electronics to cover it, which comes back to the quartz problem, which I'm pretty much maxed out on currently. Also, if I add more solar, that's going to add more maintenance 2. Currently, I can do up to 1440 maintenance 2, which means I have about 100 maintenance spare. Solar panels only use 0.04, I think it is. Yeah, 0.04. So I can add a good number of solar panels. The catch is you need a good number of solar panels to make any sort of power. So again, that comes back to silicon. Finally, maintenance 1, I can max out at 3,840, and I'm doing about 3,500 currently. So again, maintenance 1, I have a little bit of a it'd be touch and go whether I could get to sustainable on, well, what maintenance depots I've built currently. Also, I did mention earlier the recycling problem. It's now maxed out. Like, these are running flat out, non-stop. You know, they're all maxed out. The belts are running fine. There's no backups on the belts. There's no throughput issues. But it's just glass. No, belt's 50% full. I'd need to add another recycling center in to recycle, well, to take the extra recycling we're making currently, and then if we need to scale up to go to sustainable, obviously there'll be more intermediate productions and different things that I'd get some recyclables back from. Not a lot, but I get some. So that's something else I'd have to take into consideration. There's a couple of things I'd have to do to get to 100% sustainable. As for leveling out the island, again, it can be done. We've had a good crack at it. We've really, really had a good crack at it. And honestly, if I wanted to sit here for another, well, that took 6 hours to build. If I wanted to sit here for another number of hours, or I could get to a sustainability point where I could get up and walk away and just leave the game running, then I could possibly level the island. You'll have to come back and look at Joe's map to find out why I couldn't dig out all the resources. It comes down to the gold mainly. Everything else is obtainable, but the gold, like I said, check that video because he had the same plan I did. So there's definitely some things that would limit me from continuing this particular series. In saying that, like I said, I did have I do have the supporters DLC. Now, I haven't seen any let's play series of the crater map, and it's one map that I am considering maybe we should do a run of. Also, I'm waiting on them. Well, like I said, the devs have been not absent. I'm busy and lacking of updates. So maybe there's some new content coming along fairly soon, which means maybe I should wait for that. I'm not sure exactly what's happening. I have considered doing a speed run of the game. I think the current unofficial record on the Discord server is about 180 years. 180 years to go from the start of the game to launching a rocket, which is impressive. Like, really impressive. I did it in 1500 years in my Let's Play. My Twitch series, it was 1800 years. So yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. Doing it in 1/10 the time sounds impressive. Yeah. So maybe I don't know. Can I follow that truck, please? Thank you. So yeah, it's something that I consider doing. But yeah, it has been a great little game. I have thoroughly enjoyed the game. I've enjoyed the complexity of the recipes. I've enjoyed especially the way the game presents the recipe tree to you. Yeah, this has made such a difference. I've played many factory games, Factorio, Dyson Sphere, Satisfactory, the list goes on. Currently playing Stardust, which doesn't have that much of a complex data tech tree, and Timberborn. Well, Timberborn doesn't really have a tech tree. It's a recipe list. It's really not that complicated at all. It's whether or not you can take care of the beavers or just let the beavers dry out. But then again, nobody likes a dry beaver. We all like our beavers moist. So it really depends on the game to game. But like I said, this has got a very, very complex recipe book, and the way it's been presented is just, it's amazing. It means it's been a breeze for me to go through and learn a lot of the recipes. And funnily enough, I've learned a lot of the recipes by heart by now, which is probably a sign of maybe I've had too many hours in the game so far. But what I can say is the series, well, the game, the Captain Mystery, it will be back. It will be back in the future. As soon as blueprints are released for the game, you can guarantee all the different tutorial videos that I've done will get updated, published blueprints are released to the community. Also, when a major update happens, you'll guarantee that Captain Mystery is going to come back to the channel. I've had far too much fun playing this game that I cannot put it down. In fact, I've got my own private save that I've been playing on top of this save, on top of my tutorial maps. Yeah, there's a bit of Captain Mystery happening in the background. Anyway, what I do need to say is thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys for enjoying me or joining me for this particular series. Also, big thank you to those who have subscribed. Big thank you to those that are maybe clicking subscribe now, making sure that you're going to know about the next series when it starts. And I guess till then, thank you guys so much for watching. Do hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the very next episode. All right, bye.
5, 3, 2, 1, lift off. 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 5, 3, 2, 1, lift off.